The Kelvar Nexus was a region of space where 7 star systems met, connected by stable jump points that made faster-than-light travel easy. It had been chosen as the gathering point for the anti-human alliance because ships from all 7 powers could reach it quickly. When the human fleet emerged from their faster-than-light jump, they found exactly what their intelligence had predicted. 4,000 ships. The Alliance fleet hung in space like a metal cloud. Warships from 7 different civilizations, each with their own design philosophy, their own weapons, their own tactics. The Krovar ships were angular and aggressive. The Sharvex vessels were smooth and fast. The Rel cruisers were massive and heavily armored. Together, they represented the largest military force assembled in this region of space in 1,000 years. They had gathered to destroy humanity. They had not expected humanity to come to them. On the bridge of the Docto, Admiral Jiwan watched her tactical display. 500 human ships against 4,000. The odds were terrible. By any reasonable military calculation, humanity should retreat, call for negotiations, or surrender. Jiwan had no intention of being reasonable. All ships, Battle Formation 7, Wolfpack deployment, weapons free, communications blackout except emergency channels. Her voice was calm, almost gentle. Remember your training. Remember why we are here. Show them what Deathworlders can do. The human fleet split into 50 groups of 10 ships each. They did not form a battle line. They did not advance in formation. They scattered like wolves surrounding prey, each pack independent but working toward the same goal. The Alliance Fleet's Supreme Commander, a Krovar admiral named Torkval, watched the human ships disperse and felt confusion. This was not how battles were fought. Where was their command ship? Where was their formation? How could they coordinate without staying together? They are fleeing, his tactical officer suggested, breaking apart to escape. No, Torkval said slowly. They are attacking. All ships, defensive formation. Prepare to engage, but his ships were too slow. They had been preparing for a peaceful assembly before jumping to Earth's system. Many crews were on rest rotation. Some ships were running maintenance. They were not ready for combat. The humans were very ready. Captain Seojin commanded a pack of 10 ships called Wolfpack 3. His flagship, the Gwangju's Vengeance, led the charge toward the Krovar vanguard. Target their command cruiser. Kinetic spread full salvo. 10 ships fired simultaneously. 50 projectiles, each traveling at 30% light speed, crossed the distance in seconds. The Krovar command cruiser's shields absorbed the first 10 impacts. The next 40 tore through the weakened shields and ripped the ship apart. Before the debris had finished expanding, Wolfpack 3 was already moving to the next target. Wing Commander Yunseo controlled not ships but a swarm of drones, 500 unmanned fighters, each no bigger than a car, each carrying a single powerful weapon. The Galactic powers did not use drones much. Why risk AI when crew was plentiful? But humans had learned a brutal lesson on Earth. Sometimes the best weapon was one you were willing to lose. Drone Swarm Alpha, engage Sharvex left flank. Kamikaze protocol authorized. The drones swarmed forward. The Sharvex ships fired their energy weapons, destroying dozens of drones. But there were too many. The surviving drones slammed into ship hulls, their weapons detonating on impact. Shields flickered and died. Hulls cracked. Atmosphere vented into space. Engineer Minsu worked frantically in the Docto's engine room as the battle raged. The flagship was taking heavy fire. A Rel heavy cruiser had locked onto them, pounding their shields with plasma cannons. Captain, shields at 40% and dropping. Can you give me more power? Jiwan's voice came through the comm. Not without shutting down life support or weapons. Then reroute from the port side. We will turn starboard to the enemy and use the port side shields to reinforce. Minsu's fingers flew across the controls, rerouting power in ways that no galactic engineer would attempt. The Docto's power systems were not designed for this kind of abuse, but human engineering had always believed in overbuilding everything. Systems designed to handle 100% load were running at 150%. They groaned, they heated up, but they held. Port shields transferred. But Captain, if we take a hit on the port side now, we will not let them hit us there, Jiwan said calmly. She turned to her helm officer. Bring us about. Maximum combat speed. Put our starboard side to that Rel ship and show them what human armor can take. The Docto turned, exposing its heavily armored starboard side. The Rel cruiser fired everything it had. The human flagship's shields absorbed what they could. The armor took the rest. Hull plates glowed red-hot. Some melted. But the armor was thick, redundant, designed by people who understood that space was hostile and ships needed to be tough. The Docto survived. And while the Rel cruiser was focused on the flagship, 3 other human ships flanked it and tore it apart with kinetic weapons. The battle became chaos. The Alliance fleet was larger, but size meant nothing when your formation was broken. The human wolf pack struck again and again, never staying in one place long enough to be cornered. They used tactics the peaceful galaxy had not seen in millennia. False retreats, flanking maneuvers, coordinated strikes from multiple directions. A Sharvex admiral tried to rally his forces. "Reform the line. Shields to maximum. We outnumber them 8 to 1. But numbers did not matter when human ships fought like cornered animals. A damaged human destroyer, the Jeju Storm, lost all power to its weapons. Its captain, a woman named Hana, did not retreat. She aimed her dead ship at a Sharvex carrier and used her last functioning thrusters to ram it. The carrier's shields held, but the impact sent it spinning into 2 of its own escort ships. All 3 became tangled, helpless. Wolfpack 7 swept in and destroyed all 3. Human ships that should have been destroyed kept fighting. The Ulsan's Pride lost its entire port side to a plasma strike. 90 crew members died instantly. The ship should have been abandoned. Instead, the surviving crew sealed the breached sections, rerouted everything to the starboard systems, and kept firing. They fought for another hour before a secondary explosion finally forced evacuation. The galactic crews could not understand it. Why did humans not surrender when their ships were crippled? Why did they keep fighting when defeat was obvious? The answer was simple but terrible. Because they were Deathworlders. They had evolved on a planet that tried to kill them every day. Giving up was not in their nature. Supreme Commander Torqueval watched his fleet being torn apart and realized the terrible truth. His forces had more ships, better technology, superior numbers, but they were fighting an enemy that had been shaped by survival itself. Every human tactic was designed to kill. Every maneuver was aggressive. They showed no mercy because their world had shown them none. All ships retreat, Torqueval ordered. Jump to fallback positions. But retreating from human wolf packs was like trying to run from wolves on Earth. The packs pursued, harrying the fleeing ships, destroying engines, cutting off escape routes. Some Alliance ships made it to jump points. Many did not. The Battle of Kelvar Nexus lasted 16 hours. When it ended, 3,400 Alliance ships had been destroyed or too damaged to fight. The remaining 600 fled to their home systems, carrying tales of human ferocity that would become legend. The human fleet had lost 89 ships completely destroyed. Another 112 were damaged but salvageable. 4,000 human crew members had died. Admiral Jiwan stood on her battered bridge, looking at the debris field that had been an enemy fleet. She felt no joy, only exhaustion and grief for the lives lost. But she also felt pride. Against impossible odds, humanity had won. "Send a message to Earth," she ordered. "The fleet is coming home. The Deathworlders are free." Across the galaxy, the news spread like wildfire. The Alliance formed to destroy humanity had itself been destroyed. Species that had planned to share Earth's spoils instead counted their losses and wondered how they had lost so badly. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session. The arguments were loud and desperate. Some called for a crusade to wipe out humanity before they became unstoppable. Others argued for immediate negotiation. Ambassador Velthari, now ancient but still influential, spoke last. "We created this situation. We caged them. We made them desperate. We forced them to become warriors. And now we fear what they have become." He looked around the chamber. "We have one choice. We negotiate. We give them what they wanted from the beginning, freedom and respect. Because the alternative is war, and as we have just seen, war with Deathworlders is something we cannot win." The vote took 3 days. When it finished, the result was nearly unanimous. The quarantine would be lifted. Humanity would be granted full citizenship in the galactic community. A delegation would be sent to Earth to negotiate terms. On the journey home, the human fleet traveled slowly, giving damaged ships time to limp along. Jiwan stood in the observation deck of the Docto watching the stars. Captain Seojin joined her. "We did it," he said quietly. "We won. We survived," Jiwan corrected. Winning would have been never having to fight at all. Do you think they will attack again? G1 shook her head. No, we hurt them too badly. 3 months after the Battle of the Belt, the Galactic Council issued their official response. It was long, filled with diplomatic language, and said essentially nothing. The quarantine would remain. Humanity was reminded to stay within their system. The Council regretted the Horvath attack but noted that Earth had used excessive force. Admiral G1 read the message and laughed bitterly. Excessive force. We were outnumbered 7-1 and we used excessive force. They are afraid, her aide said. They do not know what to do with us. Good. Fear keeps people cautious. G1 pulled up a star map showing the space around Earth's system. But fear also makes people do stupid things. Double our patrol range. I want to know if anyone approaches our borders. She was right to be cautious. The galaxy was divided. Some species, like the peaceful Christine, argued for diplomacy. Others, like the militaristic Crovar Dominion, saw humanity as a threat that needed to be eliminated before it grew stronger. In the shadows of the galactic economy, other forces were moving. The Felnari Consortium were merchants, traders who valued profit above politics. Their leader, a cunning being named Shalvi, saw opportunity where others saw danger. The humans want technology, Shalvi told her fellow merchants. They want knowledge. They have resources to trade. The Council forbids contact, but the Council cannot watch everywhere. It is risky, another merchant said. If we are caught, we pay a fine, Shalvi interrupted. But the profit? The profit is worth the risk. These Deathworlders are not going away. Better to be their friends than their enemies. The first secret trade happened in the dead of space, far from any Council censors. A human cargo ship met a Felnari trader. Credits were exchanged. Technology changed hands. Information about galactic politics, military capabilities, and trade routes flowed to human intelligence officers. In return, the Felnari received Earth's rare earth elements, organic compounds, and something they had not expected: art. Human art fascinated the galaxy. Music, paintings, stories from a death world where beauty and terror lived side by side. To species that had known only peace and plenty, human creativity was exotic and valuable. But not everyone wanted to trade. Intelligence Officer Nari sat in her dark office, reviewing encrypted communications her team had intercepted. Her screen showed message traffic between 7 hostile powers: the Crovar Dominion, the Sharvex Unity, the Rel Confederacy, 4 smaller military states, all discussing the same thing: humanity. They are forming an alliance, Nari reported to Admiral G1. Our translators are still working on the details, but the meaning is clear. They plan to attack Earth before our fleet grows larger. G1 studied the intelligence report. 7 powers, thousands of ships if they committed their full militaries. Even with humanity's advantages, those numbers were overwhelming. When? She asked. Our best estimate is 6 months. They are negotiating terms, deciding who gets what after we are destroyed. After we are destroyed, G1 repeated softly. They are very confident. She called an emergency meeting of Earth's military command. In the secure conference room, holographic projections showed the positions of the 7 hostile powers. Fleet Admiral Kang Ho, who had been promoted after the Battle of the Belt, outlined the situation. Combined, they can field approximately 4,000 warships. Our fleet currently has 500 combat-ready vessels with another 100 in construction. We are outnumbered 8-1. Can we win? Someone asked. Kang Ho was quiet for a moment. In a defensive battle protecting our system? Possibly it would be close. We would take heavy casualties. But we might survive. Colonel Kyung Ho, a tactical specialist known for unconventional thinking, leaned forward. Defending is a mistake. If we defend, we fight on their terms. They choose when to attack, where to attack, how to attack. We react. We survive maybe, but barely. What are you suggesting? Jiwon asked, though she already knew. We strike first. Kyung Ho pulled up a new display. They are gathering their fleet at the Kelvar Nexus, a major staging area. In 3 months, most of their forces will be there. 1 location. 1 target. We hit them before they are ready to hit us. That is insane, another admiral protested. The Kelvar Nexus is 300 light-years from Earth, deep in their territory. We would have no support, no fallback position. If we fail, we die, Kyung Ho said bluntly. But if we wait for them to attack us, we also might die. The difference is that if we attack first, we have surprise. We have initiative. We control the battle. The room erupted in argument. Half the officers thought it was brilliant. Half thought it was suicide. Ji-won listened to both sides, her face thoughtful. Finally, she raised her hand for silence. Colonel Kyung-ho is right. We cannot fight a defensive war against those numbers. We need to break their alliance before it becomes real. We need to show them that attacking Earth has consequences. You realize what you are proposing? Someone said. This would be an act of war against 7 galactic powers. The Council would condemn us. We would become pariahs. We are already pariahs, Ji-won replied. We have been quarantined for 50 years. They have made it clear we are not welcome in their galaxy. So be it. We will take our place by force if we must. Over the next 3 months, humanity prepared for the largest military operation in their history. 500 ships would make the journey to the Kelvar Nexus. Every vessel was checked, double-checked, and triple-checked. Crews trained constantly. Weapons were tested. Plans were made and revised and made again. Fleet Coordinator Yuri worked 18-hour days managing logistics. Food, fuel, ammunition, spare parts. Everything needed to sustain a fleet far from home. We have enough supplies for 4 weeks of sustained combat, she reported. After that, we will need to resupply or return to Earth. 4 weeks will be enough, Ji-won said. One way or another, the battle will be decided in 4 weeks. The operation was given a simple name, Homecoming. The humans were going out into the galaxy whether the galaxy wanted them or not. Not everyone on Earth supported the plan. Protests erupted in major cities. Peace groups argued that humanity should try diplomacy first. Some politicians called for Ji-won's removal. The press debated endlessly whether the military action was justified, but the majority of Earth's population supported the fleet. They remembered the Horvath attack. They understood that sometimes, to keep peace, you had to be willing to fight. President Kangman addressed the planet on the eve of the fleet's departure. We did not seek this conflict. We wanted only to be free, to explore, to learn, but the galaxy has shown us that freedom must be earned, not asked for. Our fleet goes not as conquerors, but as defenders. They fight so that Earth remains free. They fight so that no one will ever again tell us we must stay in our cage. Admiral Ji-won stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Dokdo, watching Earth shrink behind them. 500 ships jumped into faster-than-light travel simultaneously, a feat of coordination that would have impressed even the Council's best fleet commanders. They were going to war. Not because they wanted to, but because they had no choice. The galaxy had caged them once. Now the galaxy planned to destroy them. Humanity had a different plan. In the depths of faster-than-light travel, Ji-won thought about what lay ahead. 4,000 enemy ships, experienced crews, advanced technology. By all logical calculations, humanity should lose this battle. But logic did not account for one thing. Humanity had been fighting for survival since the first human picked up a rock to defend against a predator. They had fought the weather, the animals, disease, and each other. They had survived ice ages and droughts and wars. They had climbed from caves to the stars. They were Deathworlders, and Deathworlders did not give up. The fleet traveled through the darkness between stars, carrying Earth's future with it. Behind them, the homeworld waited. Ahead of them, an enemy force 8 times their size prepared for battle. The galaxy would soon learn an old human saying, "It is not the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog." The Deathworlder fleet was coming. The Horvath Empire had ruled their section of space for 3,000 years through strength and intimidation. They were not part of the Galactic Council. They did not believe in democracy or debate. They believed in power, and they took what they wanted. Warlord Creven studied the map of Earth's solar system with interest. The system was rich in resources. Asteroids filled with rare metals, gas giants with fuel for centuries, and best of all, it was protected only by primitives who had been quarantined by the Council. "The Council fears these humans," his aide said nervously. "Perhaps we should reconsider." Creven's laugh was harsh. "The Council are cowards. They fear everything. These humans have no real fleet. Our intelligence shows only mining ships and research vessels. They have been caged for 50 years. They are weak." He turned to his fleet commander. "Take 200 ships. Strip the asteroid belt. If the humans interfere, destroy them. If they surrender, take them as slaves. Either way, we profit." The Horvath fleet entered Earth's system 3 weeks later. 200 warships, each twice the size of a human vessel. Their shields could withstand planetary bombardment. Their weapons could crack moons. They moved in perfect formation, confident and unstoppable. On Earth, alarms screamed across every military installation. Admiral Jiwan watched the enemy fleet on her command screen, her face calm. 50 years. They had prepared for 50 years. Now the moment had arrived. Deploy the fleet, she ordered. All ships to battle stations. Captain Jinho sat in the command chair of the Incheon's Pride, watching his tactical display light up with friendly signals. 30 human ships rose from their hiding places around the system. 30 ships against 200. The Horvath probably thought it was a joke. All ships, this is Jinho. Hold formation. Wait for my mark. His voice was steady. Around him, his crew worked with quiet efficiency. No panic, no fear. Just focus. The Horvath fleet commander, a veteran warrior named Drax, saw the human ships approach and felt contempt. 30 small vessels against his armada. This would be over in minutes. All ships prepare to fire. Target their engines. We want prisoners to sell. Drax settled back in his command throne, already thinking about how he would spend his profit. Now, Jinho said quietly. The human ships exploded forward with acceleration that seemed impossible. They did not slow down. They did not try to communicate. They simply attacked. The first Horvath ship to die never saw it coming. The human vessel, the Soul's Hammer, fired a projectile at 30% the speed of light. Just a chunk of dense metal, accelerated to relativistic speeds. It hit the Horvath ship's shield with the energy of a nuclear weapon. The shield collapsed. The projectile continued through the ship, tearing it in half. What was that? Drax screamed. Report! Before anyone could answer, 6 more Horvath ships exploded. The human vessels were not using energy weapons. They were using kinetic kill vehicles, crude, ancient, devastatingly effective. Return fire. All ships, return fire. The Horvath fleet opened up with their energy weapons. Beams of concentrated power lanced across space, hitting human shields. The shields absorbed some of the energy, but not all. Several human ships took damage. One lost its port side completely, atmosphere venting into space. That ship kept fighting. Weapons Officer Mireille watched her screens aboard the Incheon's Pride, her hands dancing across controls. Captain, targeting solution locked, firing. Another kinetic projectile screamed through space. Another Horvath ship died. Enemy formation is breaking, her tactical officer reported. They are trying to retreat. Pursue, Jinho ordered. No survivors who can report back. This message goes to the Horvath Empire only after we decide. The human ships moved like wolves, working in packs. They did not fight like the Horvath expected. There were no formal battle lines, no honorable combat. The humans fought to kill, using every dirty trick they had learned in centuries of warfare. Damaged human ships did not retreat. They accelerated toward enemy vessels, ramming them. Crews who should have died in the vacuum of space somehow survived long enough in emergency suits to fire one more weapon, launch one more missile. The Busan's Fury lost all power. Its reactor was destroyed. Its crew should have evacuated. Instead, Captain Minho used maneuvering thrusters to aim his dead ship at a Horvath cruiser. Then he and his crew used the remaining air in their suits to manually load and fire the ship's last kinetic weapon. The Horvath cruiser exploded. The Busan's Fury drifted into an asteroid field. Its crew dead at their posts. Drax watched his fleet being torn apart and felt something he had not experienced in decades. Fear. These were not primitive beings. These were not weak creatures who would surrender. These were predators, and he had stumbled into their territory. Full retreat. All ships jumped to. A kinetic projectile traveling at 0.3 light speed hit his flagship's engine section. The ship went dark. Emergency power kicked in, but it was too late. Human ships surrounded them. Captain Jinho's face appeared on Drax's view screen. Horvath vessel, you have one chance. Power down all weapons. Eject your data cores. You will be allowed to leave in an escape pod. You cannot do this, Drax shouted. The Empire will destroy you. We will come back with thousands of ships. Jinho's expression did not change. Your fleet entered our system without permission. You came to steal our resources and enslave our people. You attacked us. We defended ourselves. Now power down your weapons or we will fire. Drax looked around his ruined bridge. Half his crew was dead. His fleet was scattered. Of 200 ships, maybe 30 were still capable of fighting, and they were all damaged. He powered down his weapons. The Battle of the Belt lasted 4 hours. When it was over, 197 Horvath ships had been destroyed. 3 had been allowed to limp away in barely functional condition, carrying the survivors and a message. The human fleet had lost 3 ships completely destroyed, and 12 more heavily damaged. Admiral Jiwan listened to the battle reports in the command center. 3 ships lost, 97 crew members dead. It hurt, every loss hurt, but they had survived. They had won. Send a secure message to the Galactic Council, she ordered. Tell them what happened. Tell them the Horvath attacked us. Tell them we defended ourselves. And the Horvath Empire? Her aide asked. Jiwan's smile was cold. Let the 3 surviving ships deliver our message. Tell them we do not seek war. But if they come to our system again, we will destroy every ship they send. We are not easy prey. News of the battle spread through the galaxy like fire. At first no one believed it. 30 primitive ships had destroyed 200 Horvath warships? Impossible. But the evidence was there. Debris fields. Survivor testimony. Sensor logs. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session. Ambassador Velthari, now old and tired, spoke to the assembly. I warned you 50 years ago. I said these humans were dangerous. I said they came from a death world and had evolved to survive anything. You chose to quarantine them. You thought that would be enough. The council chamber was silent. It was not enough, Velthari continued. They did not waste 50 years being angry. They spent 50 years preparing. Now they have a fleet. Now they have weapons. Now they have proven they can fight. A representative from the Felnari consortium stood. What do? We have 3 choices, Velthari said. We can attack them and try to destroy them completely. We can continue the quarantine and hope they stay contained. Or we can negotiate. Negotiate? Another representative shouted. With Deathworlders who just destroyed a fleet? Velthari met his eyes. Would you prefer to fight them? The chamber fell silent again. In Earth orbit, Captain Jinho sat in the observation deck of a repair station, looking down at the blue planet. Taijin, now retired but still influential, sat beside him. We won 1 battle, Jinho said quietly. But now the galaxy knows what we can do. Some will fear us more. Some will want to destroy us before we become stronger. Taijin nodded. We broke our cage. Now comes the hard part. Staying free, and was it worth it? Jinho asked. The lives we lost? The old captain was quiet for a moment. They came to our home. They came to take our resources and enslave our people. We stopped them. Yes, it was worth it. But now we must be ready. This is only the beginning. The galaxy had learned a new word. Deathworlder. It was spoken with fear, with respect, with caution. Humanity had announced themselves not with words or diplomacy, but with the wreckage of ships and the silence of defeated enemies. The quarantine still existed. The council had not lifted it. But now nobody was sure if it was meant to keep humans in or to keep everyone else out. In deep space, human ships continued their patrols, watching, ready. The galaxy was no longer sure who was really in the cage. 50 years passed. To the Galactic Council, Earth had gone quiet. The humans sent polite messages occasionally, asking about trade or technology sharing. Each time the Council said no. The humans seemed to accept this. Their radio signals showed a civilization focused on internal matters. The quarantine appeared to be working. The Council was watching the wrong things. Deep in a crater on the dark side of Earth's moon, Dr. Hyan worked in a laboratory that officially did not exist. Around her, a team of 200 engineers and scientists studied pieces of technology that should not be in their possession. When the Christine had visited 50 years ago, they had left sensor buoys in orbit. Those buoys were sophisticated scanning devices, meant to watch Earth and report any signs of military buildup. 3 of those buoys had mysteriously malfunctioned within the first year. The Council had assumed space debris or technical failures. They had not considered that humans might have captured them, carefully disabled their tracking systems, and taken them apart piece by piece. The power coupling is remarkable, Hyun said, holding a component no bigger than her thumb. It generates more energy than our best fusion reactors, and it's completely stable. Her assistant, a young engineer named Junho, nodded. We have been able to recreate it, but our version is 3 times larger. It works, though. The prototype ships are already using them. Hyun smiled. The galaxy thought humans were primitive. They thought Earth's technology was centuries behind galactic standards. They were right. But they had misunderstood something important. Humans were very, very good at catching up. On Mars, in massive caverns dug deep beneath the red desert, Admiral Jiwan walked through a shipyard that stretched for kilometers. Dozens of vessels hung in various stages of construction. They looked nothing like the elegant Christine ships. Human vessels were blocky, heavily armored, covered in what looked like excess plating and redundant systems. "The Council's ships are built for comfort," Jiwan said to the group of officers following her. "They are fast and efficient. They are designed by species that have known peace for thousands of years. Our ships are different." She stopped in front of a completed vessel. The Tiger of Busan sat ready for its test flight. It was not beautiful. It looked aggressive, dangerous, like a predator waiting to strike. "Our ships are built by survivors," Jiwan continued. "Every system has 3 backups. The hull can take impacts from meteors traveling at orbital speeds because that is what we designed it for. The engines can push maneuvers that would kill a Christine pilot. Why? Because we evolved in high gravity. We can take the G-forces. They cannot." Commander Danwoo climbed into the Tiger of Busan for its first real flight test. The cockpit was cramped, utilitarian. Everything was within reach. Nothing was wasted. He ran through the startup sequence, feeling the ship come alive around him. "Control. This is Tiger, ready for maneuver test, confirmed. Tiger, begin when ready." Danwoo pushed the throttle forward. The Tiger leaped forward, acceleration pressing him back into his seat. 3 Gs, 5 Gs, 8 Gs. His pressure suit inflated, keeping blood flowing to his brain. His vision narrowed slightly, but he stayed conscious, alert. He pulled the ship into a sharp turn. 15 Gs. The ship groaned, but held together. Danwoo grinned. "Control maneuvering test successful. This bird can dance." In Earth's orbital command station, Tactical Officer Ariam stared at centuries of human military history displayed on her screens. She had studied every major war, every significant battle. The galaxy had known peace for 10,000 years. They had forgotten what war looked like. Humans had not. "The Council species fight in formations," Ariam explained to her team. "They use overwhelming numbers and superior technology. They expect their enemies to retreat when faced with greater force. They follow rules of engagement. They try to disable ships, not destroy them." She pulled up footage from Earth's Second World War, the Pacific Theater. "Watch this. See how the aircraft carrier groups work? Fast attack, hit hard, disappear. The Council's battle doctrine has not changed in millennia. Ours evolved through blood and necessity." Her second-in-command, a tactical analyst named Bora, raised her hand. "What about the Christine's claim that they can detect any military buildup? Their sensor grid should see these shipyards." Ariam smiled. "Mars has a natural magnetic field disruption that we have enhanced. Europa's ice shell is hundreds of kilometers thick, and we have been very, very careful about when we test engines and weapons. We fire them only during solar storms when background radiation is high. To their sensors, we look like a civilization building mining stations and research facilities. And we are building those too," Bora added. "Just not only those." The years continued. Earth's public face was peaceful. They built solar collectors and asteroid mining facilities. They established colonies on Mars and the moons of Jupiter. They sent polite requests to the Council, asking if the quarantine might be lifted. Each rejection was accepted with grace. Behind this peaceful facade, humanity prepared. In underground training facilities, fighter pilots learned to fly in simulators that pulled G-forces most aliens could not survive. On Europa, weapons designers tested missiles and energy weapons in the cold, airless environment. In Earth's orbital shipyards, the public saw civilian transports being built. They did not see the military vessels being constructed in hidden bays, their hulls painted to look like station modules. The Galactic Council's spy satellites watched Earth orbit and saw what they expected to see. A growing civilization, contained but thriving. No military buildup, no threat. They were looking, but they did not see. 47 years after the quarantine began, a small incident occurred on the edge of Council space. A human cargo ship, the Daegu Dream, reported engine failure and drifted into Council territory. Council ships responded, offered assistance, and helped the human vessel return to its own system. The Council never realized that the Daegu Dream's sensors had mapped their entire border patrol pattern. They never knew that the engine failure had been carefully staged. They never discovered that the grateful human crew had planted tiny monitoring devices on the Council ships when they came aboard to help with repairs. By year 50, Humanity had a complete map of the Council's border defenses. They knew patrol routes, shift changes, and weak points. They had analyzed Council ship designs and found their vulnerabilities. They had weapons that could pierce Council armor and engines that could outmaneuver Council vessels. Most importantly, they had something the peaceful galaxy had lost. They had the will to fight. Admiral G1 stood in the war room deep beneath Geneva. Around her, the leaders of Earth's united government watched a display showing their hidden fleet. 500 warships, not large by galactic standards but built for war in a way that galactic ships were not. They have kept us in a cage for 50 years, G1 said quietly. They did it because they feared us. They were right to fear us, but they made a mistake. They assumed we would stay in our cage forever. The president of Earth, a weathered man named Kangman, nodded slowly. We do not seek war. We only want our freedom. Freedom must be taken, G1 replied. They will not give it freely. Then we wait, Kangman said. We wait for the right moment. That moment came sooner than anyone expected. The galaxy believed humanity had accepted their imprisonment. They believed the Deathworlders had been successfully contained. They believed they were safe. The humans had been counting on that belief. In the depths of space, human ships waited in the dark, engines cold, running silent, crews trained in the art of patience. Weapons were ready. Systems were tested. The galaxy slept peacefully, protected from the dangerous Deathworlders. The humans watched and waited. Soon, very soon, the galaxy would learn what happens when you cage a predator. The alien ship appeared in Earth's orbit on a Tuesday morning. It was beautiful, smooth and silver, shaped like a teardrop floating among the stars. Inside the ship, Ambassador Velthari watched the blue planet below with growing concern. His 3 eyes blinked in sequence as he studied the data on his screen. This planet was wrong. Everything about it was wrong. Velthari belonged to the Christine Commonwealth, a peaceful species that had explored the galaxy for thousands of years. His people came from a gentle world where the strongest wind was a soft breeze, and the most dangerous animal was no bigger than his hand. He had seen many planets, but none like this one. The gravity readings made his stomach turn. This planet pulled at objects with twice the force of a normal world. The atmospheric pressure was crushing. Storm systems larger than entire moons swirled across the surface, carrying enough energy to power cities. The oceans were filled with massive creatures that hunted and killed each other. The land held predators with teeth as long as his arm. And somehow intelligent life had evolved here. Ambassador, we are receiving a transmission, his aide said softly. Velthari watched as a primitive spacecraft approached. It was crude, built from metal and fire, nothing like the elegant crystal ships of the Christine. But it moved with purpose, and inside it were humans. Captain Tajin sat in the command chair of the Sejong, Earth's first ship capable of traveling faster than light. His hands gripped the armrests as he stared at the alien vessel through the viewscreen. After 50 years of radio signals sent into space with no answer, someone had finally come. Open a channel, Tajin ordered. His voice was steady, but his heart raced. This was the moment that would change everything. The face that appeared on the screen was strange. Velthari had pale blue skin, 3 eyes arranged in a triangle, and a small mouth that moved carefully when he spoke. Greetings, the translator device said. I am Ambassador Velthari of the Christine Commonwealth. We represent the Galactic Council, a union of 1,247 civilized species. We have come to welcome you to the greater community. Tajin smiled. I am Captain Tajin of Earth. We are honored by your visit. Please, would you come aboard our station? We have much to discuss. 3 hours later, Velthari stood in the observation deck of Earth's orbital station, and he was terrified. Not because the humans had threatened him, not because they were hostile. He was terrified because of what they were. Engineer Suman stood beside him, cheerfully explaining Earth's history. She was small by human standards, barely reaching Velthari's shoulder, but she moved with easy confidence in the station's gravity. Velthari wore a powered exoskeleton just to stand upright, and even then, he felt like he was being crushed. This is normal gravity for us, Suman said, noticing his struggle. About 9.8 meters per second squared. Is it too much? We can take you to a low-gravity section. Velthari's translator worked on her words. Normal, this crushing force was normal for them. Your planet, he said slowly. Tell me about your planet. Suman's eyes lit up. Oh, Earth is beautiful. We have 7 continents and 5 oceans. The weather can be extreme sometimes. We get hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, tsunamis. But you learn to deal with it. Velthari's voice rose. These things kill, yes? Well, yes, they can be dangerous, Suman admitted. But we have warning systems now. And building codes. Deaths from natural disasters have dropped a lot in the past century. Velthari felt faint. Deaths had dropped, meaning they still happened. These beings lived on a world that actively tried to kill them, and they called it beautiful. And the animals? He asked. The predators we detected? Oh, you mean like bears? Tigers? Sharks? Suman thought for a moment. Most of them avoid humans now. We're at the top of the food chain. We had to fight our way up, but we made it. Top of the food chain. Velthari's species had never had a food chain. They had evolved on a world where plants grew freely and no creature ate another. The concept of hunting, of killing to survive, was something they only knew from old history files of extinct primitive species. Captain Tajin joined them, carrying 3 cups of coffee. Ambassador, I hope you will stay for a few days. We can show you our world, share our culture. We have so much to learn from you. Velthari took the cup with a shaking hand. The liquid inside was dark and smelled bitter. He watched as both humans drank theirs without hesitation. Later he would learn that coffee was mildly toxic to most species. Humans drank it for pleasure. That night, Velthari sent his report to the Galactic Council. He described Earth in detail. He explained how humans had evolved under extreme conditions, how their bodies were built for survival, how their minds were shaped by constant struggle. He noted that they were aggressive, competitive, and dangerously creative. They had fought thousands of wars against each other, developing weapons and tactics that the peaceful galaxy had forgotten millennia ago. But he also noted that they were curious, eager to learn, and genuinely friendly. They wanted to join the galactic community. They dreamed of exploring the stars, meeting new species, sharing knowledge. The Galactic Council met for 3 days. Representatives from hundreds of worlds debated. Some argued that humanity should be welcomed, guided, taught. Others insisted that Deathworlders were too dangerous, too unpredictable. In the end, fear won. The vote was 847 to 3. Humanity would be quarantined. They would be allowed to keep their solar system, but they could not leave it. No human ships would be permitted beyond their furthest planet. No human would set foot on another world. Trade would be forbidden. Contact would be minimal. The galaxy would be protected from the Deathworlders. When Velthari delivered the news, Taijin's face showed no emotion. We are prisoners then, he said quietly. It is for the good of the galaxy, Velthari said, but he could not meet the human's eyes. You must understand. Your people are dangerous. We wanted to be friends, Suman said. Her voice was soft, but something hard glinted in her eyes. We just wanted to explore, to learn. To be part of something bigger. I am sorry, Velthari said, and he meant it. The Christine ship left Earth's orbit that evening. Velthari watched the blue planet shrink behind him and felt a strange unease. They had caged the humans, trapped them in their own system. It seemed like the right choice. The safe choice, but Velthari remembered Suman's eyes. He remembered Tajin's steady voice. He remembered how they spoke of their world, of surviving hurricanes and earthquakes and predators as if these were normal challenges. The galaxy had just made a choice. They had told humanity that they were too dangerous to be free. Velthari hoped they would accept it. Deep down, he suspected they would not. In the decades that followed, the galaxy watched Earth's radio signals and saw nothing alarming. Humanity seemed to have accepted their fate. The quarantine boys detected no attempts to leave the system. The Council congratulated itself on handling a difficult situation wisely. They had contained the Deathworlders. They believed it was over. They were very, very wrong.